like to welcome everyone to session 9 of our Education Summit here in Ontario. Tonight's guest speaker is quite a ways away from us, all the way out on the East Coast, but Jamey Jennings is joining us tonight from St. John's. I had the pleasure of meeting Jamey a few years ago as one of my referee coaches at the OCAAs when I worked there. Had a wonderful time learning from him. A very vast resume of officiating. He's worked on court for 45 years, Jamey, a little more than that. 47. Number of national tournaments. Like I said, he's now a referee coach for CBOC here in Canada, and also works in the university panel out in Newfoundland as well for the AUS as an evaluator now. So, Jamey, thank you for taking time to spend with us tonight. We're looking forward to your presentation, and the floor is yours from here, and I'll share my screen to give you your presentation.
Okay, Dan, thank you. Just before I start, ladies and gentlemen, just a few thank yous. Dan, for the invite. When he contacted me, we had a chat about it, and I said, yeah, well, I had a few things on my plate. And then I said, yes, okay, I would do that. So I'm glad I'm here. Thanks to Peter for uploading my bio and making a couple of changes that we spoke about. And the other thing, as I said to Dan yesterday, was being a Newfoundlander, sometimes I have a tendency to talk fast. So if the screen goes black, it's because he's putting up a sign that says "Talk Canadian." So, and I'll try to slow down. And the other thing is, Brian Langdon contacted me this evening, and he said that he's going to be on the line. So, if you miss something what I say, ask him. That's the comedian. That's the comedic fact this evening. So Dan, are you running this from here? Okay, so my topic is communication, and I said it's an essential component of your officiating toolbox. Okay, so communication is defined as a means of sending and receiving information, and as officials, we do that for 40 minutes, and sometimes we go over time. We're getting at communication for a lot longer than 40 minutes. As basketball officials, you'll employ various means of communication skill to convey your message to the decisions you make throughout the game. And sometimes your decisions are made and they don't blow the whistle, but that's great. So here's the people that you communicate with directly. We know the players. You communicate with them. We know we communicate with the head coach at the appropriate time, the minor officials at the appropriate time, and your crew. And we do indirectly through the head coach with the substitutes, the other coaching staff, and the team followers, and the spectators. Well, they'll see by your communication by what you report or what you call. If anybody's got a question anytime or you want to jump in, please do so. We communicate during a game using the following, and somebody else may want to bring up something else, I'm not sure. But of course, our whistle, our voice, our signals, and our body language. That's primarily the 4 main tools that we use. And here's our old Fox 40, which helped me with my left ear. I'm deaf in my left ear. Go ahead, Dan. Your whistle is your first piece of equipment to communicate to the players, to the coaches, to your crew, and the table. It signifies a stop and play due to a violation or foul. It can also signify that you're getting ready to put the ball in play after certain dead ball situations. Now, the next thing is something I've included because it's a pet peeve of mine. Ensure to blow your whistle so all participants can hear it. One good sharp blast of the whistle is all that's required. No tweeting. I don't know how many people tweet in your boards, your 2 different boards, but that is a pet peeve of mine. We need one good sharp blast of the whistle. That's it. Don't bring attention to yourself. Your voice, an essential part of your toolbox. And I'm saying you must use your voice in every time you blow the whistle. Violations, fouls, out of bounds, substitutions, and others that you're going to need to use your voice to help communicate what we're doing. Your voice immediately communicates to the participants what you've called. Takes the guesswork out of what the foul, who the foul is on, who's the shooter, and that's one of the important things in this one. With your voice, you tell the people who the shooter is, so we don't get lost. What violation happened, who has possession of the ball after an out of bounds situation, and so on. So please use your voice. Please. Okay, Dan. Signals. Well, with the different types of basketball in the country, we've got to keep this in mind that only FIBA-approved signals should be used throughout the course of your game. And I know that there are certain instances where we're not playing FIBA rules, but I think in most instances these days we are. Practice your signals often. Practice them in front of a mirror if you have to. You want to make sure that your signals are concise, and they're sharp, and they're clear. And if you're not sure of your signals, please go back to your FIBA rulebook for the approved signals. Don't use signals approved by the NLBC, which is the National Basketball League of Canada, the NBA, the NC2A, or Federation Mechanics. If you're in a tournament situation or an evaluation situation, your referee coach may look at this as a lack of preparation. I'm moving to the next big game or the next NOCP level. And I'm going to give you a little antidote on that. Several years ago, I was at a U15 tournament with an evaluator or a referee coach from another province. We had one person who attended the tournament, wasn't prepared for FIBA. He was actually into Federation Mechanics. And when the assignments were given up for the last day, even though he was taken aside and we spoke to him about FIBA signals, FIBA mechanics, didn't listen. And of course, at the last day, he didn't get the game he thought he was going to get, and barged out and didn't speak to anybody else that night. So if you're going to be going to a FIBA tournament, be prepared to use FIBA signals and FIBA mechanics. Sir? All right, this guy's got the body language. Okay, we all use our body language. We all communicate by body language. If you stand tall and firm, you got good posture, and present a good image, you show yourself as an official in control. Use eye contact with the player or coach who's communicating. When involved in heated situations, I said, what? We got heated situations in basketball? Really? Please keep in mind, don't be seen as the aggressor with your body language. Please don't. If that just takes us down so far and we lose so much credibility if we become the aggressor with body language. Yeah? Okay, so you might know some people who do this when they're dealing with coaches or players. They fold their arms across their chest, or they stand with their hands on their hips, or they get ticked off and they point their index finger at the chest or the face of the other participant, the coach or the other player or the player, or they smirk, or they stop sign to the coach. I want to talk to you. No, I'm not going to listen to you. Or they wave at the other person, go away, go away. And that just gets us into a lot more hot water. So these forms of body language will be seen as forms of intimidation or aggression on behalf of the referee or referees. And I said, please keep this in mind as you become inserted in these situations, because guess what, folks? We all will be inserted in these situations. And for some of us old guys, we know that we've been in these situations. Okay. Some other people may have another way of handling this. This is one I like to use, and it's one I came up with. And this works for me. And someone else may have something else, and if they want to chime in, please do. So if someone wants to talk to you, fold your hands behind your back, first of all. Like we used to say, it used to be a school administration. We used to tell the kids, if you can't keep your hands to yourself, keep them in your pockets, right? So anyway, fold your hands behind your back. And the next word is listen. And I got something on that in a few minutes. Listen to what they have to say. This has to be in dead ball, not live ball. Stand erect with a good posture, making eye contact, and listen to them. Sometimes, say, nod, present a positive image, and show that you're trying to understand their concern or their point. Providing a solid explanation of how you saw the situation should prevent a heated argument. Now, it's not always. Sometimes the coach or the player is not going to believe you, but that's fine. And the other, I got it in another slide, but I'll say it here. Don't give a clinic. All right. You're asked for an explanation. Give a solid explanation. And if the player or the coach can't deal with that, then we have to kick it up a notch, as Admiral Lagasse used to say. All right, I got that name right. There are times you're going to have to verbalize with participants. And we don't want you to do that in a live ball situation, because as soon as the coach or a player gets in your ear, you'll lose your focus on your ability to officiate. Excuse me. If you're spoken to during a live ball, tell the coach or player you're going to acknowledge them at the next dead ball. And sometimes for players, by then their issue may not be an issue. All right, but don't start yakking, during a live ball, because you're going to lose your focus. Excuse me. Only engage with coaches or players during a dead ball situation. Make the communication brief and don't give a clinic. Just a couple of things here that I don't have on the slide is a couple of lines I've heard when dealing with coaches during dead balls. And the coach will be saying, hey man, listen, I've been telling you that's 3 seconds in the paint. You're not calling your 3 seconds. And I've been telling you haven't been calling 3 seconds. And I've heard someone say, hey coach, every time you yell at me, I lose my count and I got to start again. So that I thought that was a great line. Another one, as I heard, was a lady official who, when approached by a coach, the coach was kind of heated. She said, "Excuse me, sir, I don't do volume or profanity. If you want to talk, you're going to tone it down, and then we're going to have a conversation." Okay. And then the last one was something similar to that. If you're going to yell at me, coach, we can't have a sensible conversation, and I can't find out what your concern is. So if you speak in a reasonable tone and try to get the coaches or the players to speak in a reasonable tone, things will go much better for us. Communication with the minor officials will be dead ball periods. When you need to, before putting the ball in play, during timeouts, or at the half. Okay, as a crew, we need to communicate. Use timeout opportunities to discuss what the next play will be. Who owns the ball? Do we have shots? Who the shooter is? Now, I'm going to stop there. At a university game here at Memorial several years ago, We had a foul. We had a scrum. The calling official did not pick up the shooter. We had a timeout. The crew did not focus on who the shooter was. And the opposing team, wasn't Memorial, the opposing team put the wrong shooter on the line because the coach was smart enough to know that the three officials did not pick up the shooter. And of course, the Memorial coach went nuts. And because he went nuts, he got whacked. So now we got two wrongs. Two wrongs don't make a right. All right, so we had a grand discussion inside after on that one. So please make sure that one of the first things you do is who owns the ball, how many shots, if we got a shooter, who is it? Let's not be discussing about where we're going after the game or you see the young lady over there or whatever, okay? Let's stay focused. All right, the other things. Discuss how you feel as a crew. How are we doing, guys? How are we doing? Are we on the same page? Do you see what's going on between various players? Is there any skullduggery on the go that we got to deal with? Listen, White has a change in tempo. Let's be ready for that. Could be a press after the next basket. Let's be ready for that. Okay, so actively communicating with our partners during the timeout makes us work much better. I don't know how you do it in Ontario, but anyway, if you have situations where you have warned players or the head coach, please ensure your partner or partners, depending on what type of crew you have, know that you've warned somebody. And if you don't, a second warning may be issued that should have been penalized by a technical foul. So I think a lot of people can remember that or have been in that situation. Anybody? All right. On every call, make sure your head is up. After you, it doesn't matter if it's a violation or a foul. After you call a violation, put your head up. All right, make sure that you don't have something else on the play. Okay, we don't want to have two fouls called and two officials approach the table with opposite calls. I've seen that at Memorial. We had a large call one night. Two guys was the center and the trail, and the center had one call, the charge, and the trail had the block, and two of them went to report, and two of them didn't. They stood by each other and didn't, about 6 feet apart, and they didn't know that the other guy was there, and they reported two fouls. And the crew chief, who was the lead, wanted to hog. But anyway, they had to do the obvious thing and go with the jump ball. Now, the freeze mechanic. Most people should know what the freeze mechanic is. It's an important part of your communication by acknowledging that your partner is reporting the call to the table. Now, I've got this little acronym here I picked up from Pierre Marion. Zip in, zip out. And here's what it means. Doesn't matter what you are, if you're a two-man crew, it's the trail or the lead, or if you're in a three-man crew, you're the trail or the center or the lead. Whoever calls a foul, keep your head up. First thing. Then, okay, here's a zip in. Foul call. Heads up. When you're heads up, you look at your partners to make sure there's nothing else. Or if okay, then on your way to the table, the next point, check the game clock. So you want to make sure we know what time is on the clock, or is the clock still running? The next thing is get to your spot, walk briskly, report. Take your time reporting. We don't have to rush to reporting of the foul. That's zip in. Zip out. Get the okay from the table. Go to your new position. Eye contact with your partners. And now we're ready to go again. Now, I know I slowed that down as best I could. But that doesn't take a whole lot of doing. So if you get used to doing that, you're going to have good communication throughout the game. Double whistle situations. This, I know that I do this. Some people may not agree with it, and if you don't, that's fine. But the call may be sold by the second official. I'm talking about a two-man crew. Okay, so we get a double whistle. The trail official, the play's coming to the lead. The lead man has a foul call. The trail also calls the foul. And what I say is, I got the same call, partner. Now, if we don't have the same call, we're going to talk about it at the half. I'll just say, what call do you have? Same thing as you. Fine. Okay, if we didn't have, I'll say, this is what I had. This is what I saw. And the other person will say, okay, this is what I saw. And then I may say, all right, I was wrong. Apology. Let's make sure we get it right the next time. Okay. If we have two whistles when we have a foul and violation situation, get together for a brief moment to get the call right. One had to happen before the other. One doesn't supersede the other. Okay? Please, Dan.
Yeah.
Another thing on communication as a crew. On every throw-in or free throw opportunity, don't begin either of these until you see your partners are in their respective positions. How many times have we seen that one of our partners is putting the ball in play, either on a free throw or on a throw-in, and the other person or persons aren't ready? And the biggest key here is eye contact. Look, head up, eye contact. I'm getting there. Now, can you think of a time your partner or partners started to play and the crew wasn't ready? What happened? So if you want to take a minute to jot that down and want to share with that after, go right ahead. Okay. All right, I'm getting towards the end. Anyway, listening. One of the things we don't do well as referees is listen. We don't listen to the players or the coaches or sometimes our referee coaches. All right, because we think I'm going to do it my way. Okay, I'm going to do it my way. All right, so if you take the time to listen to players or coaches, a lot of times to get a valid point. Like there's certain players or coaches that I knew when I refereed at university, if they wanted to say something to me and I took the time to listen to them during a dead ball, okay, let's have a look. I'll listen to them. No sweat. Or your referee coaches. They're there to observe you. Okay, people have got to have questions. They've got to ask you a question. Don't respond to statements. As soon as you respond to statements, you're opening yourself up to, what's the word I would look for? Let me see, problems. And so answer questions during dead ball when a player or coach wants the question and to be answered in a calm manner. Please answer in a calm manner. So I don't do volume and I don't do profanity. All right. If you're going to argue or raise your voice, you've lost control and you're not listening. And when you lose control and you're not listening, the people you're speaking to know you lost your control, and you're not listening, and now they're ready to pounce. All right. They're going to try to get under your skin the rest of the night. This is one I picked up quite recently as a referee. If you're listening, you're providing a service attitude. Just think about it. You go into a restaurant, the server comes. I know we can't do that very much these days, but anyway, you go over to the server comes over to you, and he takes personal ownership and responsibility of what you ask. It's the same thing as an official. All right, you're not taking orders, but you are taking personal responsibility and ownership of your decisions. Okay, so that's a service attitude. As well, you need to be proactive and solution focused about the game. If there's a consequence, call it. All right. If there's no consequence, this is what I talked earlier about making decisions. And how many times in the game will you say to yourself, yes or no, or yes, I'm going to call that, you blow the whistle, or no, I'm passing on that. And you say that to yourself, and you change. You go to the next play down the floor. Okay. 4 factors that allow you to be a better listener and a better official. Show confidence in each call, no cockiness. Don't be cocky. Don't smirk. Don't have that perpetual smile on your face. This will show the participants that you are in tune with the game and you're going to bring a quality service to the game. Be positive in your approach. Listen and respond positively. Most times, listening will defray a tense situation, even if the player or coach doesn't agree with you. Sometimes the player or coach, some of the coaches I've heard in the AUS will say, I don't like that guy because he doesn't listen to me. They've talked to me out in the hall. I don't like that guy because he doesn't listen to me. Or I like that, and Sip mentioned to me earlier about our female official. And I've had some of the harder female coaches here that come here say, I like her because I may not like all her calls, but she takes the time to listen to what I had to say. And she'll give an explanation and away we go. And I'm good with that. All right? I'm good with that. Keep an open mind, and this is when you're being evaluated by a referee coach. And everyone doesn't agree with the referee coaches. I'm a referee coach now, but I know I've been on the other side of the bench when I refereed. Yeah, okay. Tony's just presented. Tony's just best to tell the coach talking to depends on the topic. At the end of the quarter, or yeah, okay, that's fine. That's a good point. That's a good point by Tony there, and I thank you for that. That's in the chat. He says, in the interest of keeping a good pace of the game, isn't it best though to tell the coach that you'll talk to him during a timeout or at the end of the quarter? It depends on the situation, Tony. If this works for you, then good. As long as you do it in a tone that's calm and friendly, I feel like the majority of coaches will say yes, and by the time the quarter time would happen, that cool down as well. Absolutely. All right. Thank you for that. Good point. So if you're being evaluated by a referee coach, take notes. So bring a pen and paper or put it in your phone or whatever, record it and review that at the end of the season, see how you improved. We've even challenged our crews at the national level to do a tape of themselves at the start of the next season, and do a tape at the end of the next season, look at their notes and see that they improve. Dan? The last thing I got is take ownership. Take ownership. If you made a mistake, you owe it to the game and yourself to admit that you made a mistake. All right? You'll get a lot more respect if you do that. If the rule allows you to correct it, then the mistake must be corrected. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to the other senior people here on this this presentation and probably some of the other people that I don't know. You'll feel better about yourself and gain greater respect from your crew and the participants for making the right decision. That's what you got to do. You got to get the call right. That's what we need to do every time. Well, hello. What do you think of this as a form of communication? Turn her over, Dan. Yeah. I don't like you. I don't like you either. Anyway. And that's my conclusion. That's the end of my presentation. So self-reflection is how you endeavor to become a better communicator in the next basketball season, whenever that is. And I thank you for this opportunity. Dan? Any
Excellent.
questions?
Thank you for that, Jamey. First off, that was excellent to listen to. Some really good points brought up. I really like, and I when you talk about the referee coach end of things, the fact that I got to learn from you when I was at the OCAAs, that listening piece is huge. And I mean, if you're going into a post game with a referee coach or just a local evaluator or anyone, the important thing there is that you're there to learn, right? Now, like as you said, there's some things that you may go through that, you may listen to them say that and you say, well, really? And you kind of question yourself. But for the most part, that referee coach is there, like you said, to observe you, help you learn, make you better. And the only way that you're going to do that is that listening piece and making sure that you are listening to what they're saying and kind of taking that in. And it's not something that you want to throw all into your game at once, but piece by piece, you want to work away at that. So that's the part that I took out of that I really enjoyed. So are there any questions for Jamey? And if you want to just raise your hand, you can use the raise hand function. You can unmute yourself and then go from there. But
I've got a question, Dan. It's Tony again.
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thank you. I just wanted to say to Jamey, do you feel that at the beginning, when you get into the gym or you're getting into when you're getting into the gym and you first meet the coaches, that first meeting is probably one of the most important things that you can do is to get that rapport right away and shaking hands with the coach or saying hi to the coach and having that 1 minute conversation with them and just, getting that rapport going. So that way during the game, you almost feel like you have a connection with them from
Yes.
the start of the game.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that to me was one of the things that was taught by a few mentors.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah. Well, it's just at the beginning, I like to get to the gym early. And if I get a chance to talk to the coach for a minute or two, and sometimes they give you more than a minute or two, and you feel like you struck a rapport right away. So I found that extremely important for me.
I had to sit, the old guy, some of the old, I'm sorry about the people that I do know here online that been around the CIS for a long time or U Sport. I had a situation with Nutsy at Acadia one night, and I was a crew chief, and I went over and introduced him. Well, Dave knew who I was. Dave Nutbrown. Dave knew who I was anyway, and so I went over and introduced myself and the crew. And I said, of course, I opened up the wrong way, and I said, Coach, I said, you got any questions tonight? Jamey said, I'm going to have lots of questions. You know me. And he was pretty good the whole night. So, but you're absolutely right.
For those that don't know who Dave Nutbrown was, there's not many Blazers that he had sleeves left on by the end of the game. And he usually was pretty good friends with the referee by the end of the game as well. But that's a good thing.
And that one, actually, Dan, in that one, he met my wife and I outside and had a grand old chat with us.
Oh, fantastic guy. He was.
Yeah.
I remember Dave and many of the coaches that were there. Ross Quackenbush, I remember. I mean,
yeah.
Like I used to do the table at UNB, and I saw all those guys in action. And yeah, there was some nights where I remember some pretty good blow-ups, but officials did good jobs of keeping those coaches reined in, and that's what you're supposed to do. So, any other questions for Jamey?
I have more so a comment. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So mine is regarding my very first college game I had. I was
Hang on now, because I got the hearing aids in, but I got to hear you a little clearer. Go ahead.
Sorry, my speakers aren't the greatest. So I'm just commenting on one of the last slides you had about owning up to your mistakes when you're talking to the coaches. So one of the first games I had, I completely blew a call. I just saw a girl go to the ground and I blew my whistle mistakenly, and the coach he lost it on me. He was very, very upset. And instead of just pretending like I knew what I was doing, I told him honestly, like, I messed up, my mistake, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And his reaction was just so funny. He turned to me and he said, in my whole 20 years of coaching, a referee has never owned up to a mistake. And for me, they woke me up seeing that we need to be more human. We have to show the coaches that we do make mistakes.
Good for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That way.
Mike, I noticed you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
I wanted to ask Tony a question if I can.
Sure.
So, Tony, the situation you were describing, I think Jamey thought you were talking about before the game when you and your partners go over to the coaches.
That's what I thought, Mike.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Okay, so when you said arrive in the gym, you meant just before the game.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm sitting there, I get ready, I do my stretching, I talk to my partner, we talk about our pregame, and then I say to him, okay, let's go meet the coaches. And so you're having that little conversation with them, and you could find out a lot of coaches, they want to yap at you, right? So I'm not going to sit there and turn away when they're the ones who are doing most of the talking. But you build a rapport you can build a rapport within the first minute. I've been in sales all my life, so for me it becomes very natural to talk to coaches. I feel very comfortable talking to coaches, assistant coaches, the table, just so that I can build, because I want to build a rapport with the table. I want to build a rapport with the coaches. And to me, that goes a long way. In fact, I built a rapport with many coaches to the point where I had a game once where, as Kelly said, I screwed up a call too, and he was upset with me. And after the game, he said, as upset as I was with you, I couldn't really be pissed off with you because I found you to be such a nice guy at the beginning, and I thought we hit it off pretty good. So I kind of laughed at that.
So I just want to be careful. So this is always you and your partner together going to one coach.
Correct.
And you're going to give the other coach equal time.
Absolutely, all the time. That's the one thing yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Because you're giving both coaches equal time, those conversations should be very short. And if the conversations involve anything other than the game in front of you, you might allow one minor comment that has nothing to do with the game, but that's it. So your issue is, you remember from on Monday night, Nate said you build relationships, not friendships.
Right.
And that's what's meant by on the floor. You build a relationship with the coach, but you're not there to build a friendship. So it's not a discussion about whether you think the Derek Chauvin verdict is the correct verdict, or what you think the sentence should be, or anything else along those lines. And that's what I want to be very careful of.
No, because I get that, but a lot of it, Mike, if I can just interject, for me, a lot of time it's reading people. I just happen to be, I consider myself very good at it. Like I said, being in sales for many years, I've gotten to know how to read people pretty good and pretty quickly. So I know where the limits are, where the line is drawn, especially when it comes to, those quick introductions at the beginning. I just think that each referee has their own personality, and you have to sometimes use your personalities to your advantage if it's possible. But I absolutely respect exactly what you mean to keep it short.
Sorry to interject. I was just concerned when I was listening to you. I was hearing a conversation that was going on too long.
No, definitely.
That
I try to keep the conversations as short as I can and try to get ready for the game, because to me, it's the concentration of the game, getting ready for the game and being focused, as Jamey said, and as Nate said as well, to make sure you're focused and ready to go on the tip.
John, I noticed you have your hand up. John Gordon, go ahead.
Thank you. Jamey, real lot of good information there. It reminds me of the first evaluation that you did for me back in '88 in Gander. So, but I digress a little bit. I noticed that none of your comms touched on fans, and I get that. I get that you don't talk to fans, but I'm looking in our board. There's lots of gray hair, and we're always trying to get new blood in. A lot of the new blood don't stay because of the pressure that they get from fans. Just wondering, any thoughts on how a senior referee can help a young referee deal with this and to be able to get past that what I call the mental block of the fans being their enemy.
Okay. The simple answer is get a pair of earplugs, but that's not the correct answer. John, I really think if you got it, and this is what I feel personally, and they tried that here in St. John's. If you have a senior referee with a younger referee, one of the things that we've asked the senior referee to do is to continuously talk to the junior referee about any concerns they have throughout the game. So during in the timeout, what's your concern? I got a concern with the fans. Well, guess what? We're not paying attention to the fans. We're refereeing the 10 players on the court. We're not refereeing the fans. So as long as you continue to get that message through to the younger referee, they should hopefully hang around. And you're right. Some are going to quit. Some are not going to stay and take the heat. They're not, for whatever reason. But as long as we have a positive, we provide the younger official. It doesn't matter what age they are. The younger official with positive reinforcement. You're doing a good job. Well, I'd like you to do this in the next sequence. Don't mind the fans. The fans are going to be fans. All right. So one of the things we got to control the 10 people that are on the court, and the benches, and the coaches, excuse me, and the table. So if the fans are causing an issue, then we have to. We don't control that. We have people that are in the building that have to control that for us. But the positive thing is to be positive with the younger official, and to remind them that, okay, this is, stay focused with the people on the court. I hope that answers your question.
Well, I was looking for insight, and yes, great points. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jamey?
I just got a note for Bruce Coover. Thank you, Bruce.
So I'll throw one into you, Jamey, and then we'll call it a night. But
go ahead. I got a couple of things to share before we go. But anyway, go ahead.
With crews, and I know you just talked about having a a crew that may vary in age, where you have a very senior official working with a younger official. In the case of college and university games, you have 3 people on those crews. What are some tips that you can give to crews that may vary in age about communication on the court, whether it would be verbal, nonverbal, during a dead ball, dealing with coaches, stuff like that?
Well, if we've got a crew of 9 of various ages and various experience. First thing we need to do is have a good pregame. Okay, let's make sure we're on the same page. And during the timeouts, let's make sure that we're talking and make sure we're on the same page. All right, and it should be up to the crew chief, who will be a senior referee, to make sure we're on the same page. During dead ball, just to have a quick look, everything good, thumb up, a wink or a nod, or whatever. There's various ways to do it. I think you need to talk about that prior to the game and during the game as timeouts allow. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. I just find that's one of the lost arts that we see sometimes, is that sometimes you see that younger official that might be flailing a little bit on the court and struggling with something, and sometimes the senior official, just doesn't notice it, or they don't step in to help. And I just find that, if like you said, that communication amongst the crew is important, because if we see that happening, I think it's something that, definitely we can step in and kind of try and get everyone back on that same page in a game, just so we don't have a major slide happen and we lose one of our crew members.
Example, if we have a good crew chief, and that person, whether it's a male or female, recognizes that the junior in the crew hasn't had a call, and all of a sudden has a call, but it's a double whistle. All right, then we should be recognizing that the next call is going to be Jamey's.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to let Jamey, and hopefully that'll get Jamey back in the game and make him more aware of what's going on. All right, now I've got my call. Whew. All right, now I'm ready to referee.
Good point. Jason, I noticed you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dan. Jamey, good to see you, my son.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Two-part question, or 2 questions, I should say. First one, what would you do in case if your partner's not taking some of the communication, some of the advice that you're giving him?
What would I do?
Yeah.
The next time out, I'm asking him, listen, man, we got to get on the same page. We have to get on the same page. If there's only 2 of us, we have to get on the same page. People have paid good money for us to provide this service. Okay. And if the person doesn't listen, then I guess you have an executive to talk to. But yeah. I've got an issue, and I need someone else to help me deal with it.
Yeah, no, I'm finding myself lately being house league referee and being the senior official of the 2 working the game. So just figured I would ask that question. The other one I was going to ask is, which coach would give you the hardest time in terms of communication?
Which one?
Yeah.
Like you personally.
Me personally?
Yeah, as a referee, which was the coach that gave you the hardest time communication?
Kachalski.
That's what I thought your answer was going to be.
You remember, Jason? The fans are cheaters. The players are cheaters. The scorekeeper, you're all cheaters. You come to Memorial, we're all cheaters. Right? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, especially the weekend that someone called the disqualifying foul Saturday night. That was real fun the next morning.
Yes.
I was home. I was down that weekend, so I remember that one quite well.
Yeah. Dan?
Anyone else for Jamey? It's late where he is, so
I got 3 things I wanna share before I go.
absolutely.
The other 2 people I didn't thank I had two editors on this presentation. One was Terry Burton out of Newfoundland here, and the other was Jen Brown out of New Brunswick. So those two of those people helped me. The other thing is just a little anecdote about communication. I did a grade 7 game at McDonald Drive one night, and my partner tossed the ball up. The ball went down, shot went up. All right, rebound, outlet to the little chubby guy, start to dribble down the floor, and I looked. God's got a watch on. Okay, and it's an analog watch, not a digital watch. All right, so I say to him, "Hey, young man, I don't want to stop the game," because I said, "What time is it?" It's 2 minutes after 7, sir. And he kept on dribbling. And then I had to stop the game and take the, I thought it was pretty good. And the last thing I want to leave everyone is this, is that with being involved with this fraternity of officials, you're always going to have friends, okay? You're always going to have friends. And it doesn't matter where you go in this country, you're going to have friends. So I can go just about every city, any major city in this country, every province, because I've been in every province with this game, and I know somebody. And if I'm there, I can call them up and say, "Listen, I'm in town. Come get a cup of coffee," or whatever you want, whatever your thing is. So anyway, that's a good thing about communicating too. And with that, I thank everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamey, again for doing this. I appreciate it. I know it's a little bit later for you, but I really appreciate the time and effort into the presentation. Obviously, it's great to see you again. It's been a couple of years. So we have.